interpreters over here a little bit. I don't know much Hawaiian, so aloha is pretty much the extent of how I'm going to do. Mahalo, we'll do that later on. It's a pleasure to be here in Hawaii, and to the University of Hawaii and the organizers of the Pacific Rim Conference on Developmental Disabilities. I extend a big thank you for allowing me to be here today to talk about some things that we're all, I know, very passionate about. For those of us who are involved in education and all that means really all of us. If you're a teacher, a parent, a student, an advocate, if we're lucky, we learn quickly that education is not about learning to make a living, but instead it's about learning to make a life. And for us at the Clay Aiken Foundation, we keep that philosophy in mind in all that we do and plan as it's the very essence of that is inclusion. And inclusion is so much more than what some people reduce to measuring. It's more than class size, it's more than test scores. In fact, its benefits are immeasurable for all participants, and I'm sure that everyone here who's involved in the education and the socialization of individuals with developmental disabilities is fully aware. Inclusion in the academic setting is a term which expresses a commitment to educate every single child, each child, to the maximum extent appropriate. In the school and classroom he or she would otherwise attend. It involves bringing child support services to the child rather than moving the child to the services. And it requires that the child will benefit, that the child benefit from being in the class instead of having to keep up with the other students. So full inclusion means that all students, regardless of disability or its severity, will be in a regular classroom program full-time. All services must be taken to the child in that setting. Parents thinking what's best for their child oftentimes get caught up in the discussion of mainstreaming versus inclusion. There's a difference. Too often the school district defines the terms based on what's in the best interest of the school instead of what's in the best interest of the child. And with that in mind, we at the Clay Aiken Foundation think that it's important to understand that there's a philosophical or conceptual distinction made between mainstreaming and inclusion. Those who support the idea of mainstreaming believe that a child with disabilities first belongs in the special education environment, and that the child has to earn his or her way into the regular education environment, has to kind of achieve or make it to a level that they deserve, I guess, to be in that mainstream environment. But emancipation of the human spirit. Inclusion is more than civil rights. It's about human rights. Yes, absolutely. Together we'll move through the steps of creating awareness, we work to change attitudes, and we succeed in changing the behaviors that for too long have excluded people and young people from all life has to offer. We wish to engage not only this generation, but all young people and all people of all generations to move beyond passive tolerance and towards active concept of full acceptance. And we'll use strategies that empower typical peers to be supported in a variety of settings. Children who might otherwise be at risk because of their disability can become managers of risk. Instead of being at risk, they can be managers of their own risk. By developing academic adaptations and social participation resources, we can foster collaboration between the special education teachers and the regular education teachers, and they together can plan and implement differentiated instructional practices that go beyond parallel activities as the only choice for the classroom. The Clay Aiken Foundation has been asking educators and administrators as we build our programs of inclusion, what elements would assist schools and service providers in achieving those shared beliefs and philosophies that support that positive transition into a more inclusive environment. And we've heard many suggestions, the most common of which are these: develop a continuum of placements, supports, and services for all students, but always assume that every student's first placement is in regular education. Staff development must be made available as a part of every teacher's and every paraprofessional's workday. Staff development is of the utmost importance. And we suggest that areas of emphasis include integrated curricula, emphasis on interdisciplinary teaching, multicultural curricula, life-centered curricula with friendship-building activities, leadership training, service training, character education. Unfortunately, the federal statutes that set forth the guidelines by which school districts are to include children with disabilities in the classroom leave several questions unanswered. First, how far must schools go? Second, how important is potential academic achievement in making placement decisions? And third, what are the rights of the other children? Right here in Hawaii in 1992, a case was brought on behalf of the Maui Public School student Jennifer Felix. The federally guaranteed mental health and educational services for Jennifer were not being provided. And it wasn't just Jennifer who was being ignored. The case was certified as a class action, and under Jennifer's name, 2,000 students sought the services that the federal law mandated they were given. And yet they weren't being delivered. The class action soon grew to 13,000 students. And on Maui, children were being seen for mental health services and in hallways and on stairs. They were having these classrooms in hallways and in stairwells. In Kona, an area with a lower than average percentage of identified special education students, found itself with one of the highest rates of kids being suspended from school for issues related to behavior. And these were behaviors that were driven by their disabilities. Imagine being suspended from school for exhibiting in school the behaviors of a disability that the federal laws are enacted to protect, and you're being suspended from it. The case brought to light the shortage of certified special education teachers, speech pathologists, and other certified individuals capable of providing these timely functional assessments and the development and execution of plans matched to the needs of the child. So we found there was a major shortage in adequate teacher education. I'm learning that the world sees the chair instead of me. I think it's harder to be heard as a person with a different ability than a non-disabled person. We all have differences, and we all have a basic similarity, and that's the desire to be loved and respected. The struggles of a parent aren't any different. They seem to be the same no matter the state, no matter the disability, no matter the school system. It's very difficult, I'm sure, for a parent to wait for an opportunity for their child to be included. It's very difficult as a parent to sit by school systems or mire down in political issues or financial issues, and waiting passively is not really proven to be an option. It's not a viable option for parents. Since early intervention is really the key to making sure that you maximize a child's ability. And parents seek that sense of belonging for their children, the chance for their children to be a part of regular life. And why should a disability exclude a child from participating in an activity that he or she would normally participate in if it weren't for their disability? We don't allow such exclusions based on race or gender or creed or religion. So why is it acceptable for us to exclude a child from any event based or activity based on their disability? So we received a letter from Sam's mom. Sam, really? We want to see in our world. They want to help. They want to ask all types of questions that will help them confront not only their own prejudices, because kids are born without them. They don't hold prejudices, but really the prejudices and stereotypes that others hold for a reason a child just can't understand. I got a letter, this is a movie one, a letter from an 8-year-old, Jerry. Jerry writes in her email, BugleAikenFoundation.org, we have an important People First Language section that helps Jerry keep his promise. At 8 years old, she demonstrated a patience. I said a he and a she. It's a she, just so you know. She's demonstrated a patience towards answering these questions, these things that are unsettled for her, and a love for really the questions themselves. The first basic human right is to be seen as a person before anything else. Defined by one's humanity is a simple request that everybody here knows. If an 8-year-old can make that promise, I know that everyone can do it. But surprisingly, the question comes.